But why doesn't it prove anything? He was wearing the jacket when he killed her. It had her blood on it.
But it doesn't prove that he did it. I did say that we couldn't rely on it.
Well, get him to check it again, then.
I'm sorry, but we cannot argue with this forensic report.
Well, that's me, then, isn't it? That's prison for life.
We have a strong case.
I'm sorry, I cannot do this. I want to do the deal. I want to plead guilty to manslaughter.
Matthew, this is a big decision.
I don't want to talk about it. Just go and do the deal for me.
Why didn't you go and have a word with your father?
No, I can't go back into that courtroom. Please. Go and do the deal for me.
OK. I'll go and find Miss Mills.
Thank you.
I'm going for my lunch.
Jamie, have you got some sort of problem?
Yeah, my mate's in court today being tried for murder.
Get me away from this shop, will you?
What, customer's driving you mad?
It's that Jamie. He's been off with me all morning.
Yeah, well, he's probably wound up about Matthew. What time's Ian back?
After her ladyship's finished giving evidence.
Her ladyship?
I've been hearing one or two things about her recently. She's got Ian wrapped around her little finger.
Yeah, well, actually, I've been hearing one or two tales about Melanie this morning, and not very nice ones.
Go on.
I think you'd best sit down, Kathy.
Try not to look too pleased when you go back in there.
I'll try.
Pleased about what?
Oh, the forensic report's just come back on my jacket. There was nothing on it.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, that was the only evidence they had. They're never going to convict me now.
Well, how could they convict you?
Well, you never know, do you? I mean, these barristers will use anything.
If you didn't do it, what evidence could they find?
Can't you just be pleased that I'm in the clear?
You said it again, in the clear. I mean, I thought you didn't do anything.
Of course I didn't.
Well, why are you jumping up and down?
I don't know, my jacket might have been splashed with blood.
Steve, you're lying to me.
What is this?
I can see it in your face.
Look, sis.
And now you're calling me that. I know you're lying.
Hang on a minute. What are you trying to say here?
You did it, didn't you?
Jackie, please.
You killed her.
Jackie, come back here! Jackie, come back!
So, if I've served time already for hiding the body and conspiracy charges, then I'll only get 2 years, right? What's the matter?
I'm sorry, but it's no go.
It's got to be.
We were too late.
You're going to change her mind.
Mills is adamant. She doesn't want to know.
Well, that is just great. I'm going to end up doing it live.
Now, calm yourself down, Matthew.
This is your fault. You should have insisted that I did it.
Now, you listen to me. If you let me get on with my job, then there is a good chance that you will be acquitted. But if you don't pull yourself together, and quickly, Matthew, then you're right. You're going to end up doing life.
You've hardly eaten a thing. And you haven't done much better.
No, it's lovely, Rob. I'm just not hungry.
They could be okay. They couldn't find Matt guilty of murder.
Let's hope he's right. What are you fed up about?
No, it's not fair moaning to you.
It's Phil.
He stood me up again for tonight. Apparently he wants to spend some time with Kathy.
It's not Kathy he wants to see, it's Ben.
I'm beginning to wonder.
Look, I've just had to spend the whole morning with her. All she does is nag.
She ain't that bad.
She's worse. This is the woman who gave life to Ian and Bill.
Jamie, you're terrible.
Look, what have you got to lose? You're a lot nicer than Kathy.
Thanks.
I don't remember her arriving, but she was there from about 7 o'clock onwards.
How did you find Miss Duncan?
I didn't have to find her. She was propping up the bar.
By this you mean she'd had a lot to drink?
Yeah, she'd had too much. She was drunk.
Did you speak to Miss Duncan?
No, but I could hear her. She was telling anyone who would listen.
What was she telling them about?
Well, about men mainly. What swines they are and how you can't trust them.
Sentiments echoed by a great many single women on Valentine's Day. So, you'd say Miss Duncan wasn't in a happy state?
Definitely not. I felt sorry for her.
Why was that?
Well, she was a bit pathetic.
Obviously, I don't wish to put words into your mouth, Mrs. Butcher, but you describe Miss Duncan as drowning her sorrows and being both a sad and pathetic figure.
That's right, yeah.
We know that Miss Duncan then went straight on to Mr. Owen's nightclub, E20. Would you find it hard to believe that the Miss Duncan you've described, shortly after leaving the Queen Vic, could have attacked and half-strangled a man nearly twice her size?
My lord, I object to this leading question.
I would find that hard to believe, but I'd find it even harder to believe that Matthew Rose would do anything to her.
Mrs. Butcher, that is purely speculation on your part.
Well, she asked me if I thought Saskia could attack anyone.
The difference being that you didn't see Matthew Rose on the night in question.
No, but I know him and his family. And Matthew's a really nice lad.
That's enough, thank you, Mrs. Butcher. Miss Mills?
I have no more questions. So, what happened when Saskia Duncan went towards the office?
Well, Matthew stopped her. He stood in her way.
What happened then?
Well, at first, Matthew tried to reason with her, but, well, she wouldn't take any notice of him, so he pushed her away.
In other words, Mr. Rose lost his temper and became violent.
I wouldn't say that, no.
Miss Hills, you said that after trying to reason with Miss Duncan, Mr. Rose forced her away from him against her will. Is this not the action of a man who has lost his temper and resorted to physical means?
I suppose it is, yeah.
Thank you, Miss Hills. I have no more questions.
I have no questions for this witness, my lord.
Miss Hills, going back to when Mr. Rose tried to get Miss Duncan away from the office, would another interpretation be that instead of losing his temper, that Mr. Rose was merely being firm with her?
Yeah, that's how it looked to me.
And would you also say that Mr. Rose looked desperate to move her away as he didn't want there to be any trouble?
Definitely. Matthew, he hates any sort of trouble.
How long have you known Mr. Rose?
Well, we've been friends for years.
And would you say that you know him well?
Very well. Matthew, he isn't macho like a lot of blokes. He's someone you can talk to.
Did you at one time have a relationship with Mr. Rose?
Yes, but we both realised we weren't right for each other.
Was Mr. Rose ever violent towards you?
No. Matthew wouldn't ever hit a woman.
Was he ever aggressive towards you?
Matthew isn't like that. He's always been kind and considerate.
And finally, Miss Hills, after February the 14th, did you notice a change in Mr. Rose?
A huge change.
In what way?
There was obviously something upsetting him. He didn't bother with his business. He even started drinking. He was just a different person.
Thank you, Miss Hills.
My lord, I've just received some information about which I'd like to ask the witness.
Go ahead, Mr. Cherry.
Miss Hills, you say Matthew Rose was always kind and considerate.
That's right.
But that wasn't the case when you and he got engaged. I don't wish to embarrass you, but didn't Matthew Rose get engaged in order that you consent to have sexual intercourse with him? And then, following morning, he broke the engagement off.
Yes, but we both sorted it out.
Matthew Rose manipulated both you and the situation. Didn't he, Miss Hills?
It wasn't like that sounds.
But it sounds to me like Matthew Rose lied in order that you'd have sex with him. Then when he had what he wanted, he cast you aside. Is that correct, Miss Hills? Miss Hills, did Matthew Rose lie in order to have sex with you? Is that what happened?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Hardly the actions of a kind and considerate person, Miss Hills. I have no more questions, my lord.
Miss Hills, thank you for your attendance. You're now free to leave the court. Members of the jury, as it's now 5 minutes to 4, we shall adjourn for today. If I may remind you not to discuss the case with anyone. I shall see you at 10 o'clock in the morning. Thank you.
Steve! take the blame.
Will you get him away from me?
Just tell him the truth, Steve, please.